Hello, this is the story of Shennong, who was the founder of TCM, Traditional Chinese Medicine. And he goes back a long, long way. In fact, we haven't got a clue when he lived. But the estimates are something like 2,700 to 2,800 BCE. So Shennong started out as a farmer, the divine farmer.
Ooh, why was it called the Divine Farmer, Roland?
Oh, because he helped out with agriculture, of course. But he went a long way beyond agriculture. Many new innovations and many teachings to do with agriculture. And then he went on to, actually they say he invented tea.
Oh, how did that come about?
Well, that came about because one day he was boiling up some water and a leaf of something fell into the water. He then drank it and said, "Hey, this tastes rather good. I reckon the properties of whatever fell into it are in the tea, basically." I don't know what they called it in Chinese back then. Anyway, so that's how he accidentally stumbled upon tea.
And what is the reason you know about Shennong? Yes.
Yes, so one day, this is about a year ago, we were getting ready for bed, putting me to bed, and I think I took a magnesium pill, and just to experiment, see what would happen. How can I say? I was tinkering a bit. I thought, hey, let's take a pinch of salt, a bit of salt. And I think it was Himalayan salt.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever it was, obviously had a lot of sodium chloride in it. And I had this spasm before going to bed on my good side. It was horrible. I've had them 3 or 4 times since my stroke. They are no fun whatsoever because I'm winded and I can't breathe while the spasm, for the duration of the spasm. Anyway, so next day, still all upset about this, I rang my Chinese doctor up and said, you know what, I was taking some pinch of salt, a bit of this, a bit of that. And he said, so you were experimenting on yourself like Shennong.
Aha, where it comes from, yes?
Yeah. And I said, oh, well, who's Shennong? So I looked up Shennong and discovered that Shennong apparently was born with a transparent stomach, whatever that means.
Yeah, it sounds very strange.
But I have my theory on what it means because I do relate. I identify. I can understand Shennong. So he was categorizing, listing, doing an inventory of lots and lots of herbs and trying them, because if he took something a little bit poisonous or toxic, he had his beloved tea as an antidote.
Okay.
So he started this amazing collection and with annotations of what the different herbs did. And since he had this transparent stomach, he could look and observe and see what it was doing in his stomach and how it was progressing, and all sorts of notes about the effects of various medicines.
So he was trying on his own body all these various, herbs and elements.
Yes, and making notes.
Making notes, but it was kind of like his life was in danger, right? It could have been.
Well,
or was it
well, if he took something toxic, he'd get back to his tea. But in fact,
okay.
One day he took yellow, oh, I've forgotten what it was. Yellow, it'll come to me. We don't actually know what it was he took, and he couldn't get to his tea in time, and he died.
Uh-oh. So we don't want this to happen to you.
No, because I am experimenting just as Shennong was, because I want to find out, I want to break free, let's say, of the limitation. Having a stroke is, let's say, it's a difficult condition to live with after stroke. So I've been trying and experimenting, and how else can you experiment if not on yourself? And how is it normal people with nutrition? Everybody has to experiment a little bit. Have I taken too much of this? Do I need more of that? Don't you do that with nutrition?
Yes, you do, and we are all different, and so we need to customize the intake of these nutrients and the elements, so that it's the right formula for us. So it cannot be one fit all.
Yeah. And that's why I view myself as a modern day Shennong, because as a year ago I was experimenting with electrolytes, so do I do the same still today. And so the four main electrolytes that we have are magnesium, calcium, and over here we have sodium and potassium. The sodium-potassium pump. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. Now these are the four. There are two or three, there are other electrolytes, but these are the four main ones. And magnesium and calcium should be in balance. Too much of one puts them out of balance. I mean, the body will balance these electrolytes perfectly, but we need to get the ingredients into our system, and hopefully get them in the right ratio. That helps a lot. So what happens is that today, in this day and age, we get about 10 times more calcium than we do magnesium. Sorry, I should put magnesium up here.
Because in the olden times, magnesium was widely available. So there wasn't a mechanism in the body to retain magnesium. But there was one to retain calcium.
That's right, because we hold on to calcium, we eliminate magnesium. And
it was difficult to find calcium then.
Yes, because we could find magnesium in abundance. I think this is what happened. But so we have magnesium is like being a plant. If we take lots of magnesium, you see all this green around me, it's all full of magnesium. Unless it's deficient in magnesium, in which case, if the ewe or the sheep or the cattle come here, eat this grass, sometimes they develop something called grass tetany. It's not very nice. Yeah. It means they keel over, their nervous system goes blah, 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 and they die, usually, because there's not enough magnesium in the grass these days.
And that is all they eat.
That's all they're eating, and they can't get enough magnesium. So the soil is depleted of magnesium, and we're not getting enough of it into our system. So lately, I'm still onto magnesium, and I still try and saturate my body with magnesium, but I will do a special clip on just magnesium.
Watch the space.
Just magnesium. Now, we've got, interesting enough, so we've got on this side the parasympathetic nervous system, on this side the sympathetic nervous system. This is rest and digest. This is, what's it called? Fight or flight. That's the one. Yeah. Fight or flight. So magnesium is good. It turns us into a plant. It inhibits the fight or flight. Calcium turns it back on.
Okay.
So when we're fighting or flighting, fleeing, we get full of, we calcify. So the other two, the parasympathetic nervous system, we've got sodium and potassium.
Mm-hmm.
Sodium inhibits the rest and digest. So we don't want that, do we? It inhibits it. That's why blood pressures go up with sodium, because we're stopping the rest and digest. We want to activate the rest and digest, PNS, with potassium.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make those delicious salads with avocados and green leaves and lots of potassium, that's great for the rest and digest. It activates it. So we don't want to activate the stress one, because all stress works like this. We start off very well, like the cows in the fields, and we get a bit of inflammation. This is too much calcium. This is too much stress. Stress causes that. Whether it's stress on the cells biologically, or oxidative stress, or whether it's stress, psychological stress.
Any kind of stress.
Any kind of stress that stresses us puts us in the next stage, inflammation, and then something called oxidative stress, which we're just calling stress for the moment. And all sorts of bad things happen. We get autoimmune diseases. We get a lot of things going wrong with our body because it's under constant stress. No good. Chronic stress.
So we need to balance the electrolytes and all the very thoroughly and properly.
Absolutely.
In order to
absolutely this. Does help. But anyway, the third stage is that we turn to stone. That happened to me 2 weeks ago. My leg was getting all calcified.
For lack of magnesium?
Correct. Okay. So my leg was going all hard. My Chinese doctor said, whoa, leg's looking a bit stiff.
You're stiff.
Very stiff, very stiff. And I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to saturate my body with magnesium. So the foot bath, magnesium sulfate. I sprayed on magnesium chloride, a magnesium salt. I took lots of magnesium glycinate, chelate. I took magnesium citrate. I even took yesterday I took a bit of magnesium, not glycinate, taurate.
Chelate?
No, it'll come to me in a minute.
I don't know.
But it breaks through the blood-brain barrier. But what I wanted to talk today were the 4 electrolytes, balancing those 4 electrolytes. Sodium. Well, everybody tries to go easy on the salt, otherwise the blood pressure goes up. But if you had lots of potassium, you could take more sodium because they just have to be in balance. Yeah. So same with magnesium and calcium, because as I said, the ratio is now 10:1 by default, because magnesium, we're losing it very easily. Calcium, bones calcify, arteries calcify. The whole body calcifies, becomes rigid. That's why we get into all sorts of arthritis, all things like that. It's all calcification. So I'm on a mission lately to take a super amount of magnesium. So if you remember, magnesium inhibits the fight or flight, turns it off. Brill. Potassium switches on the rest and digest. Potassium.
Brilliant.
Therefore, I have a bias. I need more magnesium and potassium, I think. That's what I think.
Roland, I would like to ask you another question because, it's clear that you're on a mission to discover, the perfect formula for your recovery as well of these electrolytes. But you got like a secret weapons, don't you? Because we started talking about the transparent like stomach, is it?
This transparent stomach
Yeah,
that Shennong
the
had.
Shennong had. But what do you have?
Well,
that
I'm made
gives
up
you-
of 50% Roland, unaffected side, and 50% Ronald. Now, Ronald is my secret weapon
Aha.
because Roland feels okay no matter what. A bit more potassium, a bit less sodium, Roland's fine. But Ronald, not enough magnesium, and Ronald's leg turns to stone. It petrifies. So basically, Ronald is my indicator. Like Shennong had a transparent stomach that would reveal to him what was happening. I'm glad you asked that because I was forgetting. And I have Ronald, who's never really well. He's never in homeostasis, balanced. He's always struggling in some way. And lately I've discovered, I think I've not been taking enough magnesium, not least because we take a large amount of vitamin D3. And guess what? You've got to balance that with magnesium. So Ronald is my indicator for anything. I want to know this, I want to know that. Ask Ronald. He will let me know because Ronald is not always well, or he's out of kilter, out of homeostasis, out of balance. Ronald will either feel better with something or he will feel worse.
And that is kind of instantaneous, right?
Yeah, it's so clear. It's so
yeah?
clear. It's so clear, Simonetta. Ronald is... I mean, he's all broken, but he is the indicator, the ultimate indicator that tells me, yes, you're on track. No, you're way off.
So I would say that you are a true modern day Shennong then.
Yes, but I think we all must be, especially with our nutrition, because listen, doctors are not that well informed. Forgive me, all doctors, for saying this, but we must all be, I think, each person accountable for their own health. That's how I view my health. I take control of it. I assume my own responsibility. Yes, I do tinker a bit with things, but I'm just trying to find out what works and what doesn't work for my body. And as it happens, the electrolytes have always been in my thoughts. They always are in my thoughts. Have I got it right?
Nice.
And we do have coconut
water, yes.
Coconut water,
yes,
yeah.
so
2 different kinds. We bought the Chi and we bought the Rebel Kitchen. Very expensive, but the Chi is pasteurized. The Rebel Kitchen wasn't pasteurized.
No, it wasn't. But and also, this coconut water has got an insane amount of potassium in it.
Yeah, because I looked up on the net how to make your own electrolyte solution. Put some Himalayan salt maybe into the water, put some honey, put some, what else was it?
So was the honey?
Lemon. Bit of lemon. And actually the AI said, well, you know what, start off with 1/4 of a litre of potassium because you're not going to get enough.
1/4 of a litre of coconut water, you mean?
Of coconut
For
water because it's so high in
intake,
potassium. Yeah. And if you're just using the potassium from salt, really you're getting tiny amount. So
if you make your own recipe, you should start with a measure of coconut water and then maybe put some, the rest of ingredients in.
Exactly.
Or just buy coconut water.
Yeah, I know. That's it really. Now, the coconut water and the electrolytes. What was I going to say? Something really interesting. Himalayans, the properties of Himalayan salt, it's got just as much salt as any other salt, not really less salt, sodium chloride, but it's quite high in the other minerals because it comes from Pakistan. Anyway, so the whole point about...
It comes from the caves, salt caves
in
Pakistan.
Below the Himalayas. Anyway, We are experimenting with lots of different salts, but they always have such small amounts of other element. I don't believe salt raises blood pressure, but many people disagree, and I see that in practice it does raise blood pressure.
Yeah, but it's the balancing act.
It's
once
a balancing
again, yeah?
act with the potassium, and I'm sure when that's right, that the sodium per se does not raise the blood pressure. Sodium retains a bit of water in the body, and potassium does. Intracellular, extracellular water. Magnesium is good for, well, we need magnesium in our ATP. I mean, there's one part of the Krebs cycle for making energy in the mitochondria. It uses 2 magnesium, 2 potassium, and B1, vitamin B1.
Okay.
Thiamine, and that's used for to produce ATP, our energy, the energy that we need
yes,
to
the
work.
energy that you used to climb this hill. I mean, I would call it mountain, considering.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm worried about getting down.
How
Am
on
I going
earth
to
did
make
you
it down?
get
Am I
up
going to
here?
make it down?
Well,
I mean, today is just halfway up, not even halfway up.
yes, but it was an incredible achievement for first time.
Yes, we've got our coconut water with us.
Yes.
Anyway, that's the story. Anyway, we both said at the same time, story of Shennong.
Story of Shennong. That's
Beloved Shennong, who I identify with. And my Chinese doctor said, as a warning to me, you are like Shennong. It reminds him of Shennong.
Be careful.
I don't aim to die experimenting, but I certainly aim to put all my effort into it to find solutions,
research,
improve, etc.
Okay, well done.